Let's talk about your former club, Everton. There's been reports that the staff at Everton is a bit surprised by John Textor entering a period of exclusivity to buy the club. Is this an unnecessary move?
Yeah, I did. I was also a little bit surprised by him being granted exclusivity. I didn't see a real need for him to get exclusivity. I thought he could have done any due diligence that was required, and he still had this big hurdle of obviously selling his Palace shares. So unless Everton have been told that that's very imminent and that there's a real chance of him taking over, I felt it would be wrong to exclude any other parties that would be coming into the picture. So yes, I was a little bit surprised at exclusivity, but nevertheless, we don't know all the details behind it. And as I say, the one thing would be that if Mashiri has granted him that status, then perhaps there is more to it, and he's able to move more quickly than it would first appear.
For sure. And how long do you think this might drag out? Like, how long does it take for him to actually get rid of those Crystal Palace shares? Or you're saying you think with this exclusivity period that they have an inkling that this is getting moved along quite quickly?
Yeah, we got to hope that there's already been some sort of offer for his shares, or he's found some other way to park the shares. But I would think he would need that money. Looking at the way Textor has financed deals before, he does tend to use debt as a bit of a tool in terms of transactions. So I would think he'd want that money from the Palace shares to be able to put into the Everton transaction. So look, he's got resources. I believe he's worth over 3 billion, which is about the lowest level you really should be to be a Premier League owner these days. And so he has resources, but it's whether they're prepared to spend them and what he wants to, his liquidity situation, which I'm unsure of. But look, for Everton, it's important that we get some stability. I've always felt that if there is going to be a Textor position, it would be great if he could do a deal with Friedkin and try and make that work. That would be a dream team for me.
Most certainly. And you mentioned him liking to kind of work with debts in his dealings. Is that something that Everton fans should be worried about? I've seen some clamoring about that feeling that's a little bit sketchy, but my understanding is that's fairly normal in business. Is that right?
Yeah, look, debt is a very important part of business and to be welcomed, provided you can make the repayments. It's when you've got debt and you can't make the repayments is when the problem comes. And that's what we've seen with other football owners before. Certainly with Textor's dealings with Leon and his other clubs he's got, there's been no issues whatsoever, nothing like a 777 issue. So please don't mistake my thoughts, but it's just that I meant to really say about Textor is that he would like to get as many liquid assets from his assets he has available to him, before going into further debt. So it would be prudent for him to do that if possible.
Most certainly. And with this takeover kind of looming over Everton's heads, do you expect any ins and outs to happen, or now it's a bit of a wait and see game, see if this gets done, or they really need to be aggressive in this last 10 days of the window?
Well, we're still biting our nails. There's still two issues here. Branthwaite, I mean, there was a load of rumours about him going to Liverpool during the week, which I think is more mischief from a Liverpool fan than anything else. I hope it is anyway. And certainly still Calvert-Lewin's future is yet to be decided. And so, whether Eddie and Nketiah could be coming as a replacement for Calvert-Lewin, could it be some sort of swap deal? I do expect some movement up front with Everton yet to refresh things, and which we need to do after the first game of the season. And so I think there could well be a couple of things yet to drop for Everton. I think they'll be busy in the market still right to the end.
For sure. And Colin Chong has admitted that the club can actually self-fund the rest of the new stadium development, which is positive news, correct?
Yeah, look, we all know that there's probably around about 60 million left in terms of the fit out for the stadium, and he's right to point it out that the money that Friedkin lent the club included that sort of amount, and in return Friedkin has got the security on his loan against the stadium. So of course he wouldn't have wanted security against an unfinished stadium, so it made sense for him to put the money in to get it completed. So yes, it is good news that we've come to the end of that road of getting the stadium. It's going to happen. There were times along the road when it may not have happened. I mean, there was definitely some serious issues around potential funding for the stadium when there was about 400 million still to find. I think the way that Mashiri has gone about the financing of the stadium was wrong. I think there should have been a package in place right at the start, which is the normal way you would have gone about some sort of stadium funding. I think he learnt that world events can take over, and often you think when these sort of things start, well, world events are going to be okay, the world's going to be stable. But he quickly found out with the Ukraine war and interest rates that things change. And so we've been the victim of that ride. And I think 777 came in partly because of that weakness in his thinking. So anyway, we're now back to the stage where the stadium will be finished by the end of the year, and then we've got 6-7 months to really get the whole thing done with test events, staging concerts, getting revenue coming in, which is really important for the club as soon as possible, in whatever way, shape or form that happens before football starts in August. And so we've got to really get this place buzzing and become as iconic as it will be, being right on the waterfront. And it's going to be amazing to see events there at night on TV. It's going to become, I think, a worldwide iconic looking stadium.